Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the fourth and final Community Safety Town Hall, co-sponsored by Metro Nashville Community Oversight Board and the Metro Human Relations Commission. I am Mel Fowler-Green. I am the Executive Director at the Metro Human Relations Commission, and I have with me Jill Fitcher, the Director from Community Oversight Board. Welcome, Jill.
Welcome. Hello, everyone.
Great. And I am very excited. We have had a great time talking to constituents over the last month and a half in these town halls. Tonight, we are asking the same question that we have addressed in our previous town halls. What would you like to see in the next chief of police and for public safety in your community? And we have, in each of our town halls, really sort of tried to target particular communities and really drill down and address specific issues for those communities. Tonight, we are going to hear from faith leaders. We're going to talk about concerns from Nashvillians who are seniors, those who are formerly incarcerated, and residents who are experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity. But I do want to say anybody can call in and participate today. So to participate in our town hall, you can call 629-255-1907 and give us your take on what you would like to see in the next chief of police or for public safety in your community. If you could please limit your comment to 2 minutes, we greatly appreciate it. You can also leave a written statement even beyond this town hall at mnconashville.com. This evening, also I would say that when you call in, well, we will be doing a quick intake. We'll put you into the queue. And if you're listening online to the meeting when you call, please be sure to silence your online meeting before you go live on the air to avoid feedback. Tonight, we're also really honored to have 3 guests with us. We have Keita Haynes. She's a legal advisor at Free Hearts, a public defender, and a recent candidate for Congress. We have Ed Cole. He's a board member for Council on Aging of Middle Tennessee and Senior Ride Nashville, and a commissioner on the Tennessee Commission on Aging and Disability. And we have Paula Foster, the chair of the Homelessness Planning Council, and the new executive director at Open Table Nashville. And we'll hear from all 3 of them as we go through this town hall today. And Jill, unless I have missed any opening, I would love to start with Keita. Are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
Well, hi, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to participate today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. These are very great, timely conversations.
Well, if you could start, if you want to just tell us a little bit about Free Hearts and, what the work that you do there.
Okay, so Free Hearts is a nonprofit, and it is run by women who have been formerly incarcerated. And we work in the community around various different criminal justice issues, social justice issues, and we also do work in the jails as well for, families that have loved ones that are incarcerated still. And we also do work in the school system as well as in juvenile. So we do a little bit of it all. But recently we have been focusing on voter restoration, which where we have been paying off the fees and fines for people that have been formerly incarcerated for them to be able to get their voting rights reinstated so that they can vote in this upcoming election.
Oh, that's great work. Thank you. And thank you for the work that you're doing there. And for some context, I believe that you yourself have experienced incarceration in the past, so you bring some real first person heart and experience to that work. Am I right?
Yes, I actually spent almost 4 years in federal prison for my alleged involvement in a marijuana conspiracy, and I have been home since December of 2006, and got my law degree and started working at the public defender's office after I was sworn in as an attorney, and worked at the public defender's office for 6.5 years, and left there in December of 2019 to run for Congress. And I was also working as the senior legal advisor at Freeheart. So yeah.
Well, that's really inspiring to me. So, yeah. So thank you for all the work that you're doing, for the sort of love that you bring to that. So I want to ask you, formerly incarcerated people often are, talked about in this sort of narrow or reductive way in conversations about public safety and policing matters. So I'm interested, like, why are public safety issues important to those who are formerly incarcerated beyond just their experience with incarceration? Right? Because obviously you do have public safety concerns for you and your family as well.
Right. So I think that one of the reasons why, it's, people that have been formerly incarcerated, why this is important, is because, we are part of the communities as well. And a lot of people, are coming home and they're returning back to their same communities. And and we don't want to see our communities being over-policed in any manner that other people want to see their communities policed either. But, we are left out of the conversation a lot of times because, people look at those of us that have been formerly incarcerated as second-class citizens and, convicted felons, and also, almost as if like the things that we have to say, our thoughts, perspective, and opinions really don't matter. And so, but they do, because we're just as much as part of the community as anybody else, contributing to the community in meaningful ways. And so, I think that's, probably one of the reasons why we are left out of the conversations. But it's important to us because, we want to come back into a community where, we are able to experience second chances, where we want a community that's going to be safe, and we want a community that, that's not going to be over.
Keita, you there?
Hello?
Yeah, we lost you for a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't know if I was cutting in and out because I am on my phone. But those of us that have been incarcerated, we want to be treated as members of the community as everyone else. We want to make sure that our communities are not over-policed. We want to make sure that our communities are safe. And we want to make sure that we're coming back to a community that values us and our opinions and our perspectives as people that have been formerly incarcerated.
And what would you say that if you think about policy or community engagement encouraged by a new chief of police, like what would you see as useful or beneficial?
So, I mean, it's useful or beneficial for, a new police chief. I think that, we definitely want a police chief, first and foremost, is going to be transparent about what is going on in the police department and about the policies and procedures that are in place with the police department. But, we would also like, to see less police officers in schools, because I think that when we have a lot of these police officers that are in school and we have kids that, that may be experiencing some type of trauma, the police may not know how to deal with the kids. And so they are, arresting kids, they're sending them to juvenile, and, and we just have this whole, school to prison pipeline that's in place. And I just don't think that the school is the place where police officers need to be. And I just think that, some other things that I think that they could do is that, they could have, make sure that there's a database that we are aware of, when police officers have been reprimanded in some form, because we want to know that police officers that do police our neighborhoods, that they are, people of integrity, because they are held to a higher standard than all the rest of them. And we just want to make sure that we have police officers that understand us and understand our community and will police with that in mind.
Well, thank you so much, Keita, for your time today. And I also want to thank you for your willingness to run for office. I think it's really important that people with different perspectives and life experience run for office. And so I just appreciate your willingness to do that.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for having me to be on this part of this conversation. And like I said in the beginning, this is a very timely conversation. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. All right. Be safe.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. And I'd like to hear from a few residents and our fellow Nashvillians. Jill, I believe that we have some statements, pre-recorded statements that were left. If you would please cue one up for us.
Yes, absolutely.
We wish to submit the following from the West Nashville Clergy Alliance, a group of approximately 30 faith leaders who have gathered monthly for the last 10 years, creating meaningful relationships across multiple faith communities in and around the West Nashville area. As leaders of primarily white congregations, our faith in God and in humanity calls us to speak. Too many injustices in our current criminal legal systems have gone on for far too long. Driving While Black, the 2016 report produced by Gideon's Army, changed the conversation around policing in Nashville. Yet when the report was released, former Metro Nashville Chief of Police Steve Anderson dismissed the report, calling it morally disingenuous. When our city voted by a large margin to create a Community Oversight Board, the same Chief of Police refused to cooperate with this process. Too many Black, brown, and white people in poverty languish in our jail simply because they do not have the money to make bail. If someone commits a crime and has the money to make bail, they go back to their home, their family, and very possibly their job. They hire a lawyer and get what we wrongfully assume everyone gets, due process. If they don't have the money to make bail, they go to jail and very possibly lose their housing and their job. They are separated from their family, friends, and any kind of support system. This is a system in dire need of transformation. Many people in our jails and prisons have not received the due process our system promises everyone, or are there because of years of policies that have created inequitable economic, educational, housing, and healthcare systems, allowing certain people and communities to flourish, while others continually fight oppression and despair. Do people make bad choices? Of course they do. We all do. But as long as we pretend that we all have equal opportunity in this country, with liberty and justice for all, we are complicit in this country's systemic racist policy. In our search for the new MNPD Chief of Police, we call for leadership that understands and values the humanity of all of our citizens, Black, brown, white, poor, affluent, housed and unhoused, intellectually sound and mentally ill, addicted and substance-free, well-educated and employed, and those with little opportunity. Leadership that brings a portfolio of proven expertise, as well as a new vision for what policing and public safety means going forward. Poverty and mental illness and addiction are issues that need to be addressed outside of the criminal legal system and not lead to it. Leadership that combines that expertise and vision with input and collaboration from across our city so as to include the unique diversity of our people and the organizations which represent them. Leadership that understands the serious need to build trust with communities which have been marginalized and the commitment required to uproot systemic racist policy. Leadership that demonstrates the advancement of fair and impartial policing with honesty, integrity, and transparency. This would include ongoing checks on balance of power and abuses of the system, including a collaborative relationship with the Nashville Community Oversight Board. Besides a willingness to work with the Fraternal Order of Police, she or he should be willing to hold the FOP accountable to appropriate disciplining of officers who betray the community's trust or commit crimes themselves. Finally, our sacred texts call us to be our brother's keeper and to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Too often we have fallen short of the prophetic call and largely ignored the cry of the poor, the unhoused, the mentally ill, the addicted, and the marginalized in our city. Separation of church and state meant to protect the free practice of all religions without interference from government should not be an excuse to keep silent over issues that overwhelmingly do harm to the lives of our neighbors. Black Lives Matter. It is time to put our beliefs into action. Quoting Reverend Dr. Carol Calvin Dillon of the We long for a city that is diverse in every way and that truly is a place of equal justice and opportunity for all. We want to be part of building that city, which includes at this moment speaking out and advocating for change.
That's the end.
And I can say that the quote, to finish the quote from Reverend Dr. Carol Calvin Dillon, we want to be part of building that city, which includes at this moment speaking out and advocating for change in our policing and justice system. And I want to thank resident Pat Helper for reading that letter, which again was written, signed by 31 members of the West Nashville Clergy Alliance. So thank you very much for that, Pat. I would also like now to welcome Ed Cole. He is a board member for Council on Aging of Middle Tennessee, Senior Ride Nashville, and a commissioner on the Tennessee Commission on Aging and Disability. Ed, you here with us?
I am here. I'm glad to be here. Honored to be with all of you.
Well, thank you. We're excited to have you. First, I want to hear a little bit about the boards and commission that you work on. You want to give us a little bit of background and the constituencies that are served?
Sure, I'd be glad to. The Tennessee Commission on Aging and Disabilities is a statewide entity that oversees a number of programs for senior citizens across Tennessee. Many of those are carried out by regional agencies for aging and disability. Here in Nashville, it would be the GNRC, the Greater Nashville Regional Council. they would be responsible for these many different programs. The Council on Aging of Middle Tennessee is a nonprofit. I think many of you are familiar with them. The Council on Aging of Middle Tennessee is really an entity trying to bring together people who provide services to senior citizens, to coordinate those services. I think one of the most important things that the council does is to publish an annual directory of services, which is a real resource for senior citizens, for caregivers, for people who are involved in the lives of senior citizens. I find that to be a real challenge. The Council on Aging also is a springboard for new ideas, and that leads to the third one that you mentioned, which is Senior Ride Nashville. On the Council on Aging several years ago, we realized a number of seniors, of course, don't have access, don't even have a car, don't have access to transportation, mobility, and so we created the idea of a volunteer program for providing transportation for seniors using volunteers, many of whom are also seniors. And so that's been a real interesting process. But Senior Ride Nashville is now very active and involved, obviously working through the pandemic issues that we're all experiencing. But this provides one of the most important pillars to life for many people, which is the ability to get to the store, get to a doctor's office, or even just to socialize with friends in a different place. So those are three things that I'm involved in. I also serve on the Regional Transportation Authority. I'm the appointee for Davidson County, and we provide transportation services throughout Middle Tennessee, in and out of Nashville. So in a nutshell, those are the things that I do.
Well, I guess you're being kept pretty busy. Well, thank you. And, I have to say that the resource guide that the Council on Aging in Middle Tennessee does really is quite useful. And I know a lot of Metro departments and Metro offices have that guide on hand. So we really appreciate that work. I know certainly my office does.
Great, yes. And it's being redone for next year again, so stay tuned, and you'll have yet another version to help you.
Well, that's great. Thank you. So I'm interested, Dave, from your experience, what are what public safety concerns are most pressing for seniors in Davidson County?
An excellent question. I think one thing I need to point out in responding is that in Davidson County, we have about almost 88,000 people over the age of 65. That's about 13% of our population. And so in one sense, concerns for public safety are going to be found within the senior population just as they are found within other dimensions of our population. So questions about inequity, questions about unfair treatment, those are things that seniors will share as well. But looking more specifically at the senior part of life, I would list these, I think, as concern. I think there is a very great concern for financial exploitation of seniors. The Tennessee Office of the Comptroller just published last month an incredibly insightful look at how financial exploitation, whether it's a state, whether it's banking, whether it's a whole range of things, have an unprecedented impact upon the lives of many seniors and what can be done about that. And I know you're familiar with the intersection of prosecutors and the police department and attorneys and all that are involved when that happens. A second area of concern is another form is what I would describe as other forms of elder abuse beyond financial exploitation. And that is obviously a pattern of physical, sexual, psychological, emotional, and neglect patterns of abuse that tend to fall more heavily on those who are vulnerable toward the end of their life. I think, thirdly, just areas of concern for physical safety beyond the areas of abuse that I just mentioned. The statistic that makes this point to me is that 31% of seniors in Davidson County live alone. And that's a pretty significant, I think, number to represent possible fear of threat. And of those, there are also many who are homeless. And homelessness is much a part of a particular, and that's where, again, the dimension of life that's found in other age groups of the population is also found among seniors. I mentioned in my comments on Senior Right Nashville the lack of mobility and the fact that that can be a danger in terms of not having access to food and to medical care in particular are areas. And then I guess the final point, I guess, in a way, to me, it is very much related to safety, because safety is not just a physical threat, it's an emotional condition. And I think that the presence of isolation and loneliness as we grow older is something that we need to be attentive to. So those would be the major categories that I would respond with.
Well, and I would suppose too that at this moment, the impact of loneliness is pretty acute, even for us folks who have don't qualify yet as senior citizens. Like it's a real struggle. So yeah, I would suppose that that's really acute within the constituencies that you represent and care about. So what, I'm interested in hearing like what kind of resources are available to address some of those concerns, and how you think the next chief of police or how the police department can best address some of those concerns.
I'm happy to comment on that, and I appreciate so much this forum and the ability to discuss these things, because in many ways we look at the selection of a chief of police just as a category of a job description, a set of criteria, and in many ways it's more complicated than that. And I would respond to the question of resources that are available and the selection of a chief in this way. There are agencies like the Tennessee Commission on Aging and Disabilities that has a hotline where somebody can call if they are feeling threatened, if they know of somebody in the neighborhood that's struggling. Likewise, there's a similar hotline that Greater Nashville Regional Council, GNRC, maintains. There is the Department of Human Services at the state level. The Adult Protective Services folks, of course, are always available for calls on particular questions of abuse. Metro Social Services has its hotline and its openness to having people call and contact them. And then in the nonprofit world, we've already mentioned the Council on Aging has its contact hotline. Senior Right Nashville is always available for being contacted for transportation. 50 Forward, that provides senior centers that are now under kind of a slowdown because of the pandemic, but they're always available. AARP of Tennessee provides a response. The Westminster Home Connection, for example, does work on people's physical dwellings that they can't do themselves, nor can they afford others to do. I could go on. Those are all available and extremely important, and there's connection information on each of those that's available. As far as the the chief of police question, each of these services has its own domain, but the connection to these services is sometimes what we fail at. Of knowing that someone is in need of assistance or being sensitive to a condition that doesn't look quite right. And this is the world in which the police department obviously operates on a day-to-day basis, whether it's in a neighborhood or whether it's in working with the security people in a communal living facility. It seems to me that an important value in our next chief of police, an important attribute, is a sense of community involvement that the police department has. And that community involvement, much as the minister's statement read earlier addresses, has to be one that is fair and of even treatment, of acceptance of all people under all conditions. And then secondly, if that community sense is present in her or him, then secondly, is there a track record in their previous work that they have made those values a part of the policing that they have supervised? Have they been very careful in talking with lieutenants and with sergeants at roll call, for example, about the importance of being sensitive to the neighborhood or the area in which you're patrolling today? And if you see things, this doesn't mean the police become, in fact, we have to be careful here that the police become the solutions to those problems, but rather they have a way in which they can connect easily. And in fact, as a part of their job description, making that connection is something that a police officer is expected to do, so that one of these services then can be linked to an area of need that person has seen or is a part of. I just think that's such an important element that in many ways has been missing in policing. And it then it translates into curriculum for the training academy. It translates again into what sergeants expect of their patrol officers. It translates into the compensation system for police officers. That this sensitivity and this open communication of need is something that is extremely important. That's probably a more lengthy response than you expected, but I feel it's so important that we see the police chief participating at that level in our community.
Well, it was definitely not too long. I think it was really insightful, and having spoken to other Nashvillians through this process, I think that's definitely a sense that is shared. Yeah. And I think that you put it really eloquently. And I really appreciate your time today, Ed. And I want to say that here at the Metro Human Relations Commission, we will post the hotlines and some of the resources that you mentioned on our website.
Great.
So if folks are looking for that, they can come to our website and find links to some of those resources.
Good. Great.
Well, great. So Ed, thank you so much for your time. We all really appreciate you doing this today. And thank you for the service and the work that you do for all Tennesseans on the commission. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks. And I believe we have a call from a constituent. And I do want to remind people that you can call in live during this town hall meeting at 629-255-1907. And do we have a call set up? Hi, caller, you're on.
Thank you. This is Jess, national community member here.
Caller, we can't hear you. Can you put your phone up closer? Because we can't hear you.
Oh, let me try again here. Can you? Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna try this. So this is Jess from Nashville. I'm a community member. I wonder.
I'm sorry, caller. You're really garbled. Can you get to a place where there isn't as much background noise? And Ed needs to Mute as well, please.
Okay. I do have y'all. Is this clear here?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So for impact, so I guess I'll just ring instead of ding. So ding, it's a death. And I'm wondering, did you hear that bell? The bell of light. And while none of us personally rang it in 1492, we still hear it today, ringing. As MNPD over polices, kills people, black and brown people. This is a bell of our history that's resonating loudly and clearly. This bell is restruck time and time again. Racial justice must be at the forefront as we search for a police chief. This is the bell of systemic racism. And while none of us personally struck it in 1619, oh, you better believe the home lives on. There is nothing just about this. It still resonates. The murders of Jacques Clemens, Daniel Hambrecht, Timothy Lane, William Johnson, and too many others rings on and on. Do you hear it? I know the Community Oversight Board does hear it. As local officials refuse to protect and serve the 36 MNPD survivors of sexual assault, oh, you know we hear it. As research shows, as history shows, Black women are far more likely to experience sexual assault than any other group. The bell resounds. Racial justice must be at the forefront as we search for a police chief. Let me be clear as a bell. We demand that our new police chief listen to the bells of history. Listen to the testimony of Black and brown people's lived experiences and stop ringing new bells. Racial justice must be at the forefront as we search for a police chief. So thank you, and may all of you be at ease. May you be healthy, and may you be safe from inner and outer harm. Thank you.
Well, and can you tell me your first name?
My name is, and I'm a queer, white, and
Well,
here on behalf of Wild Art Meditation Center.
well, thank you so much for your statement. I really appreciate you calling in this evening. Okay. Well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Okay. And I have a statement, a written statement that I can read. This is from Jane Doe 16 in Hermitage. What would you like to see in a chief of police or for public safety? Jane Doe says, I am a former Metro police officer and one of Jason Reinbold's victims. I want a chief who can come in and get rid of the boys club, telling current chiefs, all other than Kay Loki, Jason Sharp, Kathy Morante and Ron Carter in OPA, everyone in HR, and the commanders and captains who ignored the issues to either shape up or find another job. We can't keep going on like this. We just had the only female Black captain turn in her 2-week notice because of what's going on. Reinbold has at about 10 criminal complaints against him, and he still hasn't been decommissioned. Women, minorities, and anyone who doesn't conform to the boys club rules will sit decommissioned for months and months for nothing. I want a chief that isn't from the department or the state, so we don't have to worry about them owing anyone anything. I want a chief that is fair and listens to the officers and to members of the community. I want the chief process to be fair. My advocates at Silent No Longer Tennessee asked us what we wanted, and we said we wanted a board member from COB, advocates for us, and advocates for Black and Brown communities, and chiefs not from Tennessee to be the review board. Cooper lied to us and totally ignored what we and over 1,000 other people asked for. We have to have an impartial committee or this will not stop. We won't be the only victims. If they will rape and abuse us, you better believe they're doing the same to the community. I want to say thank you, Jay and Doe, for your service to Nashville, and for having the courage to share your comments. Also, I do want to remind callers, people listening, you want to call in at 629-255-1907. Tell us what you would like to see in the next chief of police or for public safety in general in your community. And again, please try to limit those comments to 2 minutes. I'm excited to be able to welcome Paula Foster. Paula is the chair of the Homelessness Planning Council and the executive director at Open Table Nashville. Paula, you here with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. Welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the Homelessness Planning Council and the work of Open Table Nashville.
Sure, thanks. First, let me say thanks for allowing me to join you tonight. It's clearly a very important conversation, and I hope more people will be listening and thoughtful around this whole selection process because it is critically important. So I am the current chairperson of the Nashville-Davidson County Continuum of Care Homelessness Planning Council. It's a mouthful. We actually were formerly the Homelessness Commission. We merged a couple of years ago with the Continuum of Care, which is a conglomeration of organizations that work toward and on issues of homelessness in the Nashville area. The Department of Housing and Urban Development funds a great deal of programmatic entities around homelessness in Nashville, and they require a continuum of care to be the governing body around what happens with policy and issues of homelessness in a particular region. So the Planning Council was created to be that governing body. Our task is to recommend policy initiatives to the city around how to deal with issues of homelessness. We are very involved in winter outreach. We do lots of things around, again, hopefully awareness of the issue and leading the city toward a particular response in dealing with homelessness. We have had some successes, yet we have had a lot of issues around trying to make sure that our homeless brothers and sisters get what they need when they need it. So I am a very, very newly acquired position of the executive director of Open Table Nashville. Open Table Nashville was founded 10 years.
Paula, you there? I seem to have lost Paula. While we're waiting to get her back on, Jill, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here. You ready to play a recorded message?
Yes, you do that, and I'll see if we can get Paula back on.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
My name is Simon Cooper, and I live in Belmont Hillsborough. And I wanted to say that I don't want a new chief of police in the first place. I don't think we can confidently say that the money spent on police isn't better spent on other public services. In my opinion, housing and healthcare keep us safe, and education keeps us safe, but the police don't. And if we are to have a new chief of police, I want someone who understands the disproportionate and violent impact that policing has on communities of color, and especially on Black communities and on low-income communities. And I want that new chief of police to be committed to proactively fixing that. For one, I want the new chief of police to commit to removing student resource officers from Metro Nashville public schools and handing over what would otherwise be spent on SROs to MNPS. I think that MNPS keeps us safe and doesn't have enough money, and the police do not keep us safe and have too much money. This is the example that I know best, but I know there are many more. In an ideal world, our new chief of police would be a transitional figure who's willing to fight for police and prison abolition and the replacement of these violent systems with genuinely protective and beneficial public services. Thank you. Hi, my name is Simon Cooper, and I live in Belmont, Hillsborough. And I wanted to say that I don't want to...
And
would you like me to put the next one?
Yes, please.
Okay.
My name is Matt Tolbert, and I'm a lifelong resident of 37205 in West Nashville. If we were to have a police chief, I want someone that understands the impact of violence and gaps in opportunity facing our city's young people. Gun violence among young Nashvillians is among the worst in the nation, and I want a police chief that is committed to addressing this through the advancement of educational and economic opportunities. I want a police chief that will work with MNPS and Safer Schools Nashville in removing SROs from schools and redirecting resources towards social, emotional, and restorative justice practices. While ineffective in preventing school shootings or deterring crime, according to the Nonpartisan Congressional Research Service, school resource officers disproportionately refer Black students and students of color to the criminal justice system, which has pervasive and negative impacts on their education and emotional outcomes, and is ineffective in keeping them safe in school. I want a police chief that defines safety as a healthy environment that prioritizes learning, healing, and wellness. SROs are not the most trained or economical tool for the safety of our students. I only ask that our next police chief is intentional, equitable, and informed when prioritizing the safety of our students. And to note, I'm a 2017 graduate of MNPS schools. Thank you.
We've lost Paula, but if you want me, I have another one I can play, or I can read a statement.
Yeah, will you please read a couple of the written statements that we've received?
Sure.
And just to remind our listeners, you can call in 629-255-1907. We'd like to hear from you and hear what you would like to see in the next chief of police or for public safety in your own community. And go ahead, Jill.
Okay. This is from Lacey Hunter, who lives in the Lockland Springs area. She says, I have felt that in the past, Nashville, like many other cities, prioritized writing tickets, making traffic stops over community policing. Since this approach has been shown ineffective, I hope the city will move away from it. Our police should be there for the community, not used as a way to generate revenue via tickets for the city. I'd like to see all officers have partners, 2 people per patrol car versus 1, to increase their safety, and also provide the resources to de-escalate situations when necessary. I hope the new police chief prioritizes recruitment and training to help us get the best officers out there. I would also like to see pay raises for officers and an end to awarding vacation days and shifts based on seniority. Build a real team, and policing will be better for the officers themselves and for our communities. Please, please, please get someone with experience that officers will respect. I'd love to see a police chief of color or a woman. But if the police force feels like the person was picked for politics and not experience, it will be a disaster. He or she needs to be proven, both as an officer and a leader. Thank you for that. The next one is from Jackie Sims from the North Nashville neighborhood. What would you like to see in a chief of police? I prefer a police chief that is not tied to so many personal relationships in the city or the department. I worked in law enforcement for 10 years, and I know it would be difficult to not show bias with those you have worked with closely. Nashville is too much of a bedroom community, and I think we would greatly benefit from a fresh new face. The department, to me, has not been held to a high enough standard because the previous chief portrayed it as something it was not. And then the third one, Melissa from the Hillsborough Village area. What would you like to see in a police chief? Mental health crisis workers, accountability, prosecution, cooperation with oversight board, disruption of culture of silence and cover up. And I can do one more if we have time.
Yes, please do. I think Paula is going to call back in just a minute here.
Okay, well, I'll read the shorter ones so that we can move. Okay, so this one is from Sherry Anderson, and she is from the Sunset View neighborhood in the Donaldson community. She says, a fair, compassionate, well-trained, disciplined man with experience that bears that out. Someone who cares for his team well, listens to the community often, and can bridge the tension across the races that we currently see. Because of the current clamor to defund the police, which I disagree with, he may need to be very skilled in doing more with less for a season. So I think he should be able to demonstrate that he has done that in the past. The next is Mary Jo Cook from the Sylvan Park community. What would you like to see in a chief of police? A commitment to reduction of violence in policing, more training in mediation, de-escalation, removal of police from schools, accountability for misconduct by police. The next one is from Rosemary. Oh, sorry.
Go. Jill, I was going to say, if you wanted to hold that for a minute, we have a constituent calling in.
Absolutely.
Hello, caller, you're on.
Yes, hello. My name is Michelle and I am a senior and I live over in Nashville. I'm calling specifically to ask that someone from within the department not be hired to lead as the next chief of police. That retiring Chief Anderson, from my perspective, has really corrupted the department when the Silent No Longer came forward with their Tennessee report that at this point there's 35 mostly women and some men, officers as well as people who work in the department who have been abused, assaulted, intimidated, harassed, that anyone within that department that was there during that period of time, particularly those in the higher up positions who did not step forward to stop this, cannot now turn around the culture of that department. It's just common sense that cannot happen. So no inside hire. Would really like someone from the outside of Tennessee to actually come in. I agree with the callers who have talked about a really new way of offering safety and support to people in this community, that a policing force that's based upon a model that began during the time of slavery is not what we need in our city. And this over-militarization of the police that's happened over these number of years, and the control of the police and what can be done by the city, by the Fraternal Order of Police is really disturbing and concerning. I want to offer also the Policing Commission is doing a great job trying to address, a wide range of issues about what needs to be happening going forward. I suggest, though, that everybody go and read the Movement for Black Lives Matter Breathe Act. It is extraordinarily comprehensive. It deals with every kind of place within the codes and regulations within the city, the state, and the federal government. If we were really able to address what the Breathe Act is recommending, it would substantially recreate a new way of keeping people safe in our community. And so I really recommend that the city of Nashville adopt the Breathe Act, as well as looking at what the policing commission is coming up with. But the Breathe Act is so comprehensive that would be a new day in our city if that would be adopted. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you for calling in. Wait, thanks, caller. Jill, if you can read another written statement, please.
Sure. This one is from Rosalind Brown Daniel in Antioch, and she says she would like to see in a chief of police honesty, integrity, and educated. The next one, Simon Cooper from the 37212 community would like to see, well, this is the response. I'm not sure I want a chief of police in the first place. Can we confidently say that the money spent on police isn't better on other public services? I don't think so. Housing and healthcare keep us safe. Education keeps us safe. If we are to have a new chief of police, I want someone who understands the disproportionate and violent impact that policing has had on communities of color and on low-income communities, and is genuinely committed to fixing that. For one, I want the new chief of police to commit to removing SROs from Metro Nashville Public Schools and to handing over what would otherwise be spent on SROs to MNPS. MNPS keeps us safe and doesn't have enough money, and the police do not keep us safe and have too much money. This is the example I know best, but there are many more. In an ideal world, our new chief of police would be a transitional figure who is willing to fight for police and prison abolition and the replacement of these violent systems with genuinely protective, beneficial public services. The next one is Patricia Meadows from Green Hills. She says, recognition that police as now constituted should be protectors, not warriors. Eliminate all military equipment and riot gear for use against peaceful protests. Generally, I think our police do reasonably well with limited resources, but the foot dragging on cameras is unacceptable. Find the way and get it done. There should be no exemption or special rules for police use of force or harm to others. The patrolling should be designed to identify and pursue criminal activity and should be applied equally to all neighborhoods. The next one is from Molly Secours from East Nashville. I would like to see a new chief with national experience in police reform who has commitment and experience in eradicating gender bias in policing. Someone who was not mentored by the previous chief or has ties to the current upper management of MNPD, who takes sexual misconduct claims, whether harassment, intimidation, or assault, and who has a firm grasp of systemic racism. I would like someone who will clean house and start fresh. Nashville is in deep trouble. The level of dismissal and denial of the current MNPD is unacceptable. The next, Matthew Tolbert, West Nashville. If we are to have a chief of police, I want someone that understands the impacts of violence and gaps in opportunity facing our city's young people. Gun violence among young Nashvillians is among the worst in the nation. And I want a police chief that is committed to addressing this through the advancement of educational and economic opportunities. I want a police chief that will work with MNPS and Safer Schools Nashville in removing SROs from schools and redirecting resources towards social, emotional, and restorative justice practices. These are proven to keep children safer. I want a chief of police that understands that police presence in our schools is only one example of misguided priorities that harms our city's young people, especially young people of color and those with learning differences.
Jill?
Yes.
I believe we have Paula back on the line. Paula, are you with us?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Technology.
No, I think it's my computer. I'm not sure exactly what happened. So I'm gonna step outside.
Well, we're glad to have you back.
Better. So let me do that.
Okay. And what you were about to tell us was about the work of Open Table Nashville, where you are the new executive director.
Wow, and I was just going on and on before I realized that I had been kicked off and you weren't hearing me anymore. So I have no idea what I said. So, Open Table works very closely with folks who are chronically homeless. We look for ways to make sure that those folks are getting the things that they need. We do a lot of street outreach, particularly into homeless encampments, working with folks to get them connected to the appropriate resources, finding them, appropriate housing when we can, and in the meantime, making sure they have the supplies that they need to survive. Our work becomes incredibly critical during the winter months when living outside in the elements can get incredibly difficult to do. So we have folks who are out there every day, every evening, looking to see where we can find folks that may need some help. So that's just the tip of the iceberg of all the things that we do. But I think, going into the conversation around what we are looking for in the next police chief of Nashville, I have to echo many of the things that have already been said in terms of looking for someone who is going to have a sensitivity to the needs of all the people in Nashville. The criminalization of homelessness is happening left and right, all over the country, even here. Recently, our legislature passed a law around people being in public spaces around the Capitol and camping. And this is particularly difficult for folks who are without homes. The legislation was, aimed toward the protesters that had been camping out there, but it's broad enough to include anyone who may be without a home, who may sit down on a bench to rest themselves and fall asleep and could be arrested for camping in a public space. So these things are issues that we want to make sure that our next police chief is really in tune to, just around our humanity, to make sure that people are being treated with dignity and respect across the spectrum of services and things that we need here in Nashville.
Yeah, if you could talk a little bit more about what the conversation around decriminalizing homelessness. I know that that's a national conversation, and so if you could talk a little bit about alternatives and sort of what would be more productive ways of sort of dealing with public safety concerns with regard to our neighbors and residents who are experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, and I wish that I had all the statistics, available, but I don't have those at my fingertips at the moment. But I will tell you that the hope is that we start moving away from arresting people for literally being without a home and providing other kinds of services. There is a thought process around, instead of sending, the police to calls around, things like homelessness and those things, is to send out outreach workers or social workers to make sure that those folks are being tied into the kind of resources that are available in the community. Mental health issues lead to many, many arrests, and particularly folks who live without a home. When someone is acting erratically and, someone feels unsafe, call the police. And so the police respond, and inevitably the person may be experiencing a mental health crisis, but they end up in the criminal justice system and not the mental health system. Nashville is actually doing well in some regards around that. We have a behavioral health center that's open with in conjunction with the new facility downtown. The Mental Health Cooperative and their Crisis Intervention Center is a great alternative to incarceration, and it's being used, and good work is being done. And I think, again, that speaks to the need to make sure that our next police chief is in tune with the needs of our community, particularly around mental health issues and crisis response, and right people in situations. And it's not always police officers. And that is what we're talking about when we talk about decriminalizing homelessness.
Well, and my understanding is that, there's a whole other concern with regard to, experiencing homelessness and public safety. And that is like the actual physical safety of our brothers and sisters who are living without a home, right? That they
correct.
are at significant risk with their own physical and personal safety.
That is true. That is absolutely true. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. They live without a home, and people are afraid of them. Yet their safety and the crimes against folks living without homes is higher, and it is kind of a misconception and a myth that people who are without homes commit a lot of crimes, when in actuality they're the victims of many crimes.
Yeah, so I appreciate your bringing up the mental health sort of diversion that Nashville is doing, and I do think that's something we can be really proud of as Nashvillians. And I think, what do you have other models or other specific ideas that you've seen elsewhere that we can also incorporate?
There is one that's being looked at here in Nashville. I honestly don't know what the status is of the exploration of this at the moment. But there is a possibility of establishing a homelessness court, which would end up being, instead of someone going into general sessions when they've been arrested, they would go to a homeless court. And that court would be filled with a lot of different supports. A lot of different organizations will be working together to make sure that folks are connected to the resources they need to address their situation, as opposed to being incarcerated. It hasn't been established yet, but we are in the beginning stages of trying to figure out what that would look like. Several cities around the country have them. I think one of the places we were looking at as a model was New Orleans, where someone who may be experiencing a mental crisis, or someone who may be loitering, or someone who may be panhandling, instead of being arrested and booked downtown, they are the homelessness court, which provides them with resources, much like the Veterans Court or the Mental Health Court or the Addictions Court. And it's a great model, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Nashville can implement that.
Well, Paula, I really appreciate your time, and congratulations on your new director position at Open Table Nashville. And thank you for the service that you've provided to Nashvillians on the Homelessness Planning Council. Sorry, I don't say the whole name. It is very long.
It's very long. And thanks for the opportunity. I really apologize for my technical difficulties tonight. I have no idea what happened. It's a brand new computer, and it keeps kicking me off the internet. So that does.
We're just very glad to get you back.
I'm glad I got connected. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thanks, Paula.
All right. Bye, Mel.
Bye. And Jill, I believe we have some other written comments. And before you read those, I do want to remind folks who are listening, you can call in live at 629-255-1907, and we'll get you on without any wait. Jill, go ahead.
Thank you. The next written statement is from Judy Fraudenthal. Sorry if I messed your name up. From North Nashville. She says that she's looking for a chief of police that is accountable in executing 21st century policing recommended by the Obama administration, culture transformation, culture transformation capability, Black community connector. Next is from Mr. Chad Ryden in East Nashville. He wants to see a chief of police that is a woman of color. Sarah from East Nashville, 5 points. Would like to see a chief of police in public safety. I want a police chief who will work closely with Metro Nashville Community Oversight. We voted overwhelmingly for this panel, and yet MNPD has ignored and blocked them at every turn in a horrific, bad faith manner. I want a chief who takes the driving while Black data seriously and institutes all of the 8 can't wait actions. I want a police chief who changes hiring practices so that each neighborhood is served by people who are either from the neighborhood or reflect the culture of the neighborhood. For example, I've lived in East Nashville for 20 years. I'm tired of the majority of the cops who patrol this district having blatant disregard for the progressive, pro-queer, pro-artist, bohemian nature of East Nashville. Most of the cops seem to come from far outside of Nashville, and they do not hide the scorn and judgment they feel towards East Nashville residents. After my home was destroyed by the tornado, I felt mocked by the cops who flooded the area. They seemed to go out of their way to not be friendly, and I feel like they were actually happy to see all of us liberals suffering. Send these kind of police to work in West Nashville and hire cops who are open-minded. I have taken issues around racial and class bias seriously and see the strengths of the neighborhood they work. What in the world do you expect will happen when you send conservative, rural cops to work such a diverse and funky neighborhood? They hate us, and they make it known. I do not feel safe to put out a Black Lives Matter sign in my yard since my first one was stolen. I literally worry that both my local cops and firemen will let my house burn as a punishment for my progressive values. I feel this way due to 20 years of being treated with open disdain. I want a police chief who is completely on board with critical race theory practices. I demand a chief who leaves our subsidized housing neighbors alone, who stops the ridiculous practice of over-policing. I demand a chief who brings Gideon's army and their violence interrupters into the office, into a partnership with them. Lastly, I demand a chief who has the strength to ignore any and all pressure from right-wing Nashville. They are not the majority in Nashville, Davidson County. Centrists and progressives are. So cut ties with our hideously toxic FOP. They do not speak for Nashvillians. I beg the next chief to cut ties with the FOP. The next one, James from Hermitage. He says, a chief should support body camera requirements, especially for home raids. He should support a Michael Bell law that requires an independent investigation from TBI after any shooting or death of a citizen. He or she should support use of force standards, de-escalation, and a public database of police misconduct. These methods help transparency and trust within the community. The next one, Carolyn Shaw from the Belmont Hillsborough area. What would you like to see in a chief of police? Humble, honest, independent thinker, critical thinker, experienced in management, experienced in leadership, experienced in navigating political egos, educated in multiple schools and programs about approaches to policing, open-minded, unswayed by gossip and negativity, able to instill confidence in others, strong communication skills, open to change, thoughtful about implementing solutions, creative, prioritizes citizens and safety in the community over politics, embracing of the human condition. The next, Eric from East Nashville. I would like to see someone from outside of the department, preferably a female person of color, who has experience as a chief of police in cleaning up corruption. I would also like to know why Cooper lied to the group sticking up for the policewomen who have been abused. Is Cooper the cowardly mayor too scared to tell the truth? Anderson has dirt on him, and he caved and will make sure Drake is the new chief. And lastly, Lisa Ernest, Forest Hills. What would you like to see in a chief of police? Empathy, lack of bias, exposure to multiple neighborhoods and ethnicities, understanding policing can't be done only on the basis of force, and that reforms are needed to prevent further unnecessary loss of life, especially among, and that is it.
And Jill, are there any other recorded statements?
Yes, we have one recorded statement left, and then I'm going to go back and check that last written statement to make certain that we have the entire thing. So I'm going to play the recorded statement now.
Yeah, I want to see a chief who actually cares about the community, not just political goals and gaining power. And the same goes for the mayor. The last several days, I've been seeing several things on Facebook about Mayor Cooper and the police chief committee. And I listened to the video and it had the recordings. And I mean, Cooper, he just plain lied. I mean, these officers, they keep our families safe, and they're there when, you know, our kids are lost or something's happened to them or our house is broken into. And I think the least that he can do is to make sure the committee and everything that it's fair, and it gives those poor officers, those ladies, a shot at getting someone in, you know, getting a chief in that can clean the place up, because those guys have been there for years and they haven't said anything. So I mean, they're just as bad as the people that are abusing them. And I just want a chief that's willing to do that, and a mayor that's willing to do that. Thank you for your time. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Brenda, and I live in South Nashville off of Linbar, and I'm white, female, and I am 39 years old. Thank you.
And Mel, I'm going to read the statement from Ms. Ernest again because I left something off. And then we just received another written statement.
Go ahead, Jill.
Okay. So Lisa Ernest from Forest Hills says, what would you like to see in a chief of police and for public safety? Empathy, lack of bias, exposure to multiple neighborhoods and ethnicities, understanding policing can't be done only on the basis of force, and that reforms are needed to prevent further unnecessary loss of life, especially among Black men. And then we just received one written statement that I'm going to read, and that is the last one that I've received. It comes from Jessica Quase. She lives in Inglewood, and she said, it says, what would you like to see in a chief of police and for public safety? Rings, singing, bell. And I believe she called in, but I'm going to read her statement. Let's see here. This is Jess, a white queer resident of Nashville. I'm also a community member participating on behalf of Wild Heart Meditation Center. And I wonder, did you hear that bell? This is the bell of white supremacy. And while none of us personally rang it in 1492, we still hear it today. As MMPD over-polices, cages, and kills local Black and brown people, the bell of our history resonates loudly and clearly. The bell is restruck time and time again. Racial justice must be at the forefront as we search for a police chief. This is the bell of systemic racism. And while none of us personally struck it in 1619, oh, you better believe the hum lives on. There is nothing just about this, and yet it still resonates. The murders of Jacquees Clemens, Daniel Hambrick, Timothy Lane, William Johnson, and too many others rings on and on. Do you hear it? I know the Community Oversight Board surely hears it. The new chief of police must follow the COB's MOU. As local officials refuse to protect and serve the 36 MMPD survivors of sexual assault, oh, you know we hear it today. As research shows, as history shows, Black women are far more likely to experience sexual assault than any other group. The bell resounds. Racial justice must be at the forefront as we search for a police chief. Let me be clear as a bell. We demand that our new police chief listen to the bells of history, listen to the testimony of Black and brown people's lived experience, and stop ringing new bells. Racial justice must be at the forefront as we search for a police chief. Thank you, and may you all be at ease. May you be healthy, and may you be safe from inner and outer harm.
Thank you, Jill. And I'm really glad that she sent her statement in writing. I appreciate that we can really listen to her words, and thank you. So I want to give a heartfelt thank you to Keita Haynes and Ed Cole and to Paula Foster for joining us today and sharing their experience and their expertise. And on behalf of the Metro Human Relations Commission, I want to thank the Community Oversight Board for joining with us on these town hall meetings. And it's been a real pleasure hearing from constituents all over Davidson County. We really appreciate hearing from you, and we can commit that what we have heard from you, we will be sure to pass that data and that information on to the mayor's office and to other policymakers. Jill, if you want to close us out.
Sure. Thanks everyone for taking the time to be here with us and sharing your thoughts, and also giving us the opportunity to really relish in the things that you had to say. Like Mel said, there were callers from all over Davidson County on this last call. And we just really appreciate the time and attendance that you took to voice your concerns about public safety in this city, as well as picking the right police chief for our city. We heard about racial justice and fairness and respect, accountability and transparency. And so I think that those are the reoccurring theme, as well as making certain that we have a look at how policing is done in Nashville as it deals with SROs in our public school systems, and what that looks like as we think about the prison to school to prison pipeline. And then it also, I think when I heard multiple calls in regards to mental health and also how do we deal with those who are suffering mental health issues when, as well as homelessness. And so I am just very pleased, and I thank everyone for taking the time to really just voice your opinions and your concerns. And we don't take them lightly, and we appreciate you, and we thank you for supporting the Community Oversight Board as well as Metro Human Relations. We would not be here. We can't do this work without you. And we are here to make certain that the voices of the people and the community are heard loud and clear. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Good evening. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.